Hey guys, Paul at ISM. Welcome to part 1 of our Alpha Models 124th Aston Martin DB11 build. I reviewed this kit, well, a few days back, and we're here today and we're going to get all prepped, primed, painted, decaled and clear coated today. Standard procedure for the first part of most of my videos, but hey, you might pick a few tips up along the way, and I have changed the way things are done a little bit, especially in the 2K today. So stick around, see if that pays off as well. So yes, if you've not watched the review, I recommend going to watch it because it is a very nice kit, this one. Absolutely gorgeous car, really is beautiful. And I'm looking forward to getting this one done because I've picked a very nice blue for it. And I'm really interested to see how it turns out. So yes, there we are. As always, make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notifications to get notified of the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment as well. Please leave a comment. Do love reading all your comments. And we'll jump in with the build straight after this message. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos will always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. So, the Aston Martin DB11 from Alpha Models, absolute beautiful kit. If you've not seen the review, I recommend go and have a look because this is an absolutely stunningly beautiful car and a very, very nice quality kit. So, we're taking the time, we've familiarised ourselves with instructions, we've checked all the parts off to make sure they're all there. And now we're going to prep the body for primer. So, what I've been doing lately is using one of my Holly Rescribers that we used to sell over on UMP. Describe all the panel lines. The body shell on this is absolutely stunning, almost flawless. Some of the panel lines have a little bit of muck in them. When I say muck, I mean just a little bit of resin that probably just needs a little bit of rescribing to get rid of it. Could you leave it? Yes. Do you need to rescribe it? Probably not, to be honest, but I thought, you know what, let's clean it out. And this is a great scriber, very accurate. You almost fingertip to fingertip where you want to rescribe. So it's a pretty safe, reliable way of rescribing. And all I'm doing is going around all the panel lines. I'm not going over it 4 or 5 times. I'm going over twice at the most and just making sure all those panel lines are properly defined. So some quite tricky angles, so take your time. Make sure you don't slip because you'll cause a lot more problems and solving by doing it. So make sure you're nice and confident with your scriber and using a good quality tool as well. Lots of scribers out there, but the only one I wouldn't recommend is the trumpeter one. It's not a very high quality tool at all. So with all that rescribed, we've got our old Mickey Mouse toothbrush. I'm going to go around, get rid of all the resin dust out of all the nooks and crannies. Anywhere we may have missed that hasn't been rescribed and just has residue left behind of resin dust from the manufacturing process. And then we can come back in and clean it up. So we've got some UMP brush cleaner in a paint cup. And then using said toothbrush as before, we're going to carefully go around and degrease the whole body. Now you can use washing up liquid, fairy, Dawn dish soap, wherever you want, alcohol, anything, whatever gets rid of the casting process residue. So you'll find there's normally like a mold release on resin casting because these are cast parts or are pour plugs on the body. And there will be residue left behind. How much is there, I don't know. But as a matter of course, I go around and thoroughly degrease the bodies. It takes a couple of minutes to do. At least you know you're putting fresh primer down over a nice clean surface to make it all nice and perfect. So we go around, clean it all up, then give it a good wipe over with a clean piece of tissue. Like I say, we're just trying to get rid of all the residue that might be in the nooks and crannies, any recessed areas, all the wheel wells, anywhere we're going to take paint. And this should give us no problems with any paint adhesion then. We don't need to mount it for priming. Now I found the Tamiya holders not quite up to the task of holding these heavy bodies, so I use some really nice strong 3M sticky pads. Put 1 or 2 or 3 of them on, depending on what it needs. On this one we've got 3. Using some tongue depressors, these have been recycled from the last build. We do a little bridge across from one end to the other. And these are very, very sticky pads. They're ideal for this. Same on the other side. Like so. And then we know that's nice and securely mounted. Make sure you put it in the right position. There we go. Like I say, very secure, very well stuck down. And I have a nice big round 3M pad in the middle. I've got an old burnishing bottle that's full of water. It's actually full of water and plaster of Paris. I think it's plaster of Paris. I forget. I always forget what's in here. We then stick this to this, and we've got a bottom heavy container stuck to the bottom of those tongue depressors, and it holds it on. Perfect. No problems at all. No risk of it falling over unless you really knock it. So take your time. If you're in any doubt, you could put a nice piece of flat cardboard under the bottom of the bottle or whatever you can think of, and that will make it a lot more stable. And again, where I've just had my grubby, greasy hands, I'm going to go around with another bit of airbrush cleaner on a bit of kitchen roll and thoroughly degrease all that. So we're in the spray booth. We've got some Tamiya decanted fine surface primer out the spray can. That's been left to off gas. We've thinned it about 15-20% with Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder. We're hitting the body with our Tamiya anti-static brush to get rid of any dust that's on the body. Quick dust over with the airbrush. It's my Iwata HPC Plus. We load it up with some primer, and we're going to do several light coats, ending in a couple of nice wet coats. So it takes a long time to build up. One thing I've noticed about the Iwatas, especially when we come to the 2K later on, is the paint is atomized a lot finer, so the paint doesn't go down as quick. So you find yourself having to go a little bit slow with your paint strokes and pulling back on the needle a little bit more. So yes, just take your time. You don't want to get any excess primer down, especially on the first coat. You want to get a nice base coat down, and then you can build it up. And as I always say, the Tamiya primer does like to go down wet, so make sure on your last coat you put them down fairly wet. I don't mean hose it on, but enough that it's got self-leveling properties, or you can find it dries a little bit gritty and bitty. But as long as you take your time, it builds up wonderful. I'm a big fan of the lacquer primers. They are very good. And as I explained last time, no, I've not given up on the apexes at all. I just fancied an Iwata. So I grabbed a HPCS, and it's become my general workhorse. It's paint gun now, basically. So after a couple of coats, here we are with the end coat. And as you can see, I'm putting the paint on a bit wetter now. And that way we know that it can go down and self-level. But if you're onto the bare resin or plastic, don't hose it on. Put a base coat down, and then once that's dried, you can come back like I am here and start putting heavier, wetter coats down. Like I said, it does build up well. If you get any dust, leave it to dry for a good 30 to 40 minutes. You can sand it back and then re-go over it again, no problem at all. And as you can see, on alternate coats, I'm alternating from going side to side to up and down, and that way we're getting all the nooks and crannies, all the panel lines, all those vents, grills, everywhere, and just ensures we get full coverage. And not forgetting our wing mirrors as well. These are only two components we need on this, the wing mirrors and the body. There's no spoiler on this one at all. So again, they get a coat of primer with each coat the body gets, and it'll be the same with the painting process, be it the colour or 2K. They'll all be painted alongside each other. That was left to dry for a good 6 hours. We've flattened it back. I don't have any footage of me flattening it back for some reason, but I did. To get a nice smooth finish. And if you find you need another coat of primer after that, do it again, let it dry and repeat until you're happy. So now we've got some Gravity Colours Aston Braemar Blue. It's metallic blue. It's a beautiful colour, as you'll see at the end. Give it a good mix up with our Badger paint mixer to make sure all those pigments and colours are fully mixed. And again, hit it with our anti-static brush. This not only gets dust off the surface, it also helps prevent any dust landing on the surface as well. So it does help in the reduction of dust, in my opinion. So we've got our Iwata HPC Plus. We're about 16 psi. We're going to put down probably on this one 7 to 8 coats. I lose track after a while. 7 to 8 coats of paint. It's a very thin opaque paint this, so it does take a lot of build up. And again, we'll alternate between side to side and up and down patterns. Obviously, we're painting a resin body. We don't need to be worried of any reactions on any plastic, so you can go a bit heavier if you can. And I see a lot of people literally hosing it on, but for me, I stick to my techniques and still put the first couple of coats down quite light. Never really putting a wet coat down at all, if I can help it. Now, what I did find on this, and I had to come back later on, a couple of hours later after painting, is those side vents there. And where was it? There was somewhere else. I had to come back and put another coat of paint in. It was there, right there on that sill at the front. I had to put another couple of coats of paint down because the paint had not quite got in there. I'd not angled the airbrush enough. So pay attention if you're painting those, and make sure you get plenty of paint in as you're going around. Maybe give it an extra pass with each go round with the colour. But beautiful colour. Spray is absolutely beautiful. The pigments are tiny in it, thankfully, on this one. So we shouldn't have any issues there. But one of those strange colours that looks different under different lighting and different cameras. You'll see the true colour at the end when we're clear coated. And there we go. After, what's that? That's probably 4 or 5 coats. You can see we're getting a bit darker now. It is starting to darken up quite nicely. Like I say, we've got lots of areas to make sure we're getting all those nooks and crannies. We've got some carbon into that rear bottom diffuser, the side skirt and the front splitter as well. But we're still going to make sure they're all properly painted. We don't want to be missing parts and coming across them later on. And like I say, alternating between up and down, side to side with each coat. After every coat, I'm leaving about 10 minutes for it to flash off gas. And then coming back with another coat. And I'm putting fresh paint in the airbrush each time. You can leave it in the airbrush, and I do tend to do that. There's some left in there. But I tend to pick up a bit of new paint, mix it into the old one, suck it back up, blow it back in, and that way I know it's all thoroughly mixed. And then here we go. After about, I would say this was about 8 coats now. You can see just how nice and dark and rich that blue has got. It's absolutely beautiful. But it's very deceptive. To my eye, it's a lot lighter than this and has a weird green tinge to it. You'll see it at the end. It's just this camera and the lights I've got tend to darken all the colours. But it's a beautiful colour and it's laid down absolutely perfect. So happy with that. Good colour choice for this car, I think. And now we've got to think of interior colour. I'm thinking cream on this one. A nice cream leather interior. I think that'll go well against the blue. Look quite classy for an Aston. If you got any thoughts on interior colour, pop in the description below. The comments below. Open to all suggestions, but I'm thinking a cream colour would go well on this one. Right, the paint's been left to dry overnight. Make sure it's all nice and off-gassed and dry. And we're going to mask up and paint all the windows where our glasswork will go. So old builds have taught me, make sure you paint these because with them being a different style window than normal model kits, when you glue them up on the outside, you can see the colour of the car underneath. So I've made sure to mask all these off lately and paint them black. So mask it up with the Tamiya 1, 2 and 3mm tapes, then we'll infill it with the 6mm. And then we'll go around with cling film, saran wrap, food wrap, whatever you call it. Later on to infill the larger areas. But here we've got a good couple of hours of some fiddly masking. And the better the job you do here, the better end result we'll do. So we just want to go right up to all the leading edges and get them done. And then there's a nice line from that rear window across the C-pillar, underneath where the B-pillar would be, and right along the front of the window that we're going to do in black. Did contemplate doing it in carbon, but changed my mind. I thought, no, we'll do this black. It can be a nice gloss black. There are other options on the car. I've seen a fully black roof down to that mark as well. Carbon roof, but for me, this was the look I wanted. And I'm glad I did because it looks good at the end of the build. So like I say, with some saran wrap, cling film, food wrap, whatever you want to call it, on a bit of tape, we can infill all the larger areas. And that way we're not wasting tons of masking tape. We've got the iWatch HPC Plus again with some Mr. Surface of 1500 black. And we're going to go around and paint all around the windows. All the B-pillar, all the bottom where that trim is, right up the back of that C-pillar. And make sure we get all the scuttle panel on the front as well, where the window wipers will sit. And just make sure we get it all nice and evenly covered. Now, we're covered everywhere up, so we shouldn't get any overspray. Check and double check this before you commit to any airbrushing because it's very easy to miss a bit. And it doesn't look good when you do it with black patches all over the body. And you're going to have to sand them off. And this being a metallic paint, it doesn't look good. And there we go. With a few light coats, getting all those angles, there we go. That is all wrapped up. And I sped this up because it was like 3 minutes long and I didn't want to bore you to death. What takes 2 hours to mask takes literally, 3 to 5 minutes to paint and about a minute to unmask. Yeah, it's a nightmare masking, but it's one of those necessary evils. and it's worth it because done properly it looks nice and crisp and really adds to the look of a model. So take your time with the masking, be patient, use the appropriate tapes. The thin tapes are very, very valuable. Highly recommend the Tamiyas, the 6, 12 and 18 and the 1, 2 and 3 mil. And just take your time, go around, mask it all nice and clean, make sure all the edges are burnished down. Don't go too heavy on your paint when you're putting it down, and you should end up with perfectly masked windows like I had here. No issues whatsoever, no calamities. And now carboning, we've got a fair bit of carboning to do. Like I said, we've got this front splitter. So what I've done is I've put the car down on a piece of old paper. I think it was an eBay 10% off voucher. If you can see the code, feel free to use it. I think it's eBay 10 at a place called, is it Mini Models or something? I can't remember where it was now. And I've drew around it, cut this out in paper, and then drew around it on the carbon decal film. And then we'll cut that out, and that will be our quick template for getting that front splitter done in one piece, hopefully. So we'll do one piece on top, one piece underneath, and make them match at the front of the lip. So a little bit of careful transferring of the shape. Like so, nice sharp pencil. And then cut it out. I'm going to cut the main part out with the scalpel, and then we'll trim it with our scissors perfectly into shape. And the rough edge, well, the rough design I got here was a near perfect fit. So there you go. Just use the front of the car as a template, draw around it, job's a good one. And there we go. Like I say, grab our scissors. I'm a big fan of these Tamiya decal scissors. Keep going to call them tweezers for some reason. They're very good, very sharp, very accurate, and just absolutely perfect size for all your modelling needs. So these are my go-to scissors on the bench usually. And with a bit of careful trimmage, we can trim this to the right size. And then we've got our decal ready to go. And there we go. With that off the backing paper, we can get it on the front of the splitter and somehow try and finagle it, and there's a word, into place. Takes a bit of patience and a bit of care doing this because we don't want to rip it, but we want to use the back end where we cut it to get it lined up as good as possible because we don't want to have to trim the back if we can help it. Once you're happy you've got it in place, hit it with some decal solution. So we've got the UMP normal here, just to get it all bedded down with the water pen brush. Then we can leave that for 5 minutes to do its business. We can trim up the outer edge with our scissors, getting as close to that splitter as we can. And then using a stronger decal solution, I went for the UMP strong solution. We can hit it up again and start to conform the edges over. And there we go. After a few applications of the decal solution, we are perfectly done. And I've made another template for the side pieces here. So we can use that for both sides by reversing it. And it's a case of just cutting it out as before, line it up, get it in place, and exactly the same as before. Get it lined up as good as possible. Hit it with the UMP normal decal solution on the brush. And get it in place. Now the idea of these pens is they are for colour artists, I believe. You put water in them, use it to blend the paint. It was recommended a while back to put your decal solutions in them, which worked very well, saved a lot of time, but I found that they weren't watertight, airtight, so the decal solutions were losing their potency over time. But I got that used to using them. I like the brush, and that's why I still use them. With this set in place, we've burnished down the panel line. We've got a scalpel with a nice sharp fresh blade in it to cut right up to that panel line, nice and carefully and purposefully. Peel off that bit of decal and then grab our brush again with the solution on and just gently burnish that back down into the panel line. And there we go. We can then trim either edge. A little bit of heat to make sure everything's perfectly conformed. And then we can repeat that for the other side. Literally reverse that template. Job's a good one. And then we've got the back one. This one's quite a tricky one. I'm not going to lie. I probably used about 8 or 9 pieces on this one. So I cut a straight edge piece for the back and got it to fit as good as I possibly could. And then patched up some of the other areas. Now, because this is the patterned twill weave, if you line the pattern up, it tends to disappear as soon as you hit it with decal solutions, and it kind of blends into itself. So you can actually patch this up and it looks okay. I do it all the time. Nobody ever notices. And on larger areas like this, we're just going to line up the pattern, almost like wallpaper. Get it in place, hit it with the decal solution. This is the normal again. And we're just going to gently burnish it down from the top to the bottom, trying to get it in place with no creases, which, to be fair, it went in really well. And we'll fold it over the edge of the back. There is a hole in the middle where the exhaust goes. We're going to leave that for now and just leave it to float while we get everywhere else burnished down. All the straight edges need to go down first. And then once we've done that, we can cut off this top piece with the scalpel using the natural panel line of the car itself. So just some careful trimming. Brand new scalpel blade in that, so we know it's nice and sharp. And then very carefully with tweezers, lesson hand here, they do attack paint quite easily if you're not careful. We certainly don't be stripping this colour. We can take off that excess little piece of masking tape. I'm going to save that because I'm going to use that again in a minute to touch up another piece. And then we just burnish that back down with our brush, nice and easy. Now the hole for the exhaust, we're just going to put a cross pattern in it. Not the size of the hole, just a little bit smaller. Then get our brush and just gently poke it down all around the edge. And there we go. That's that done. We can paint in there black because the exhaust will go in there and we'll never see it. And then we just do the same everywhere else. We did a pattern for the underneath piece as well. And we just line that right up to the edge where it meets the last piece we put on there. So it's a tedious part of the job, but it looks really good when it's done. And then we just trim off the excess of that. Set it with the decal solutions. If any small areas need touching up, we'll just put a little piece in there, line up the pattern, hit it with the decal solutions, and job done. After that's dry for a good few hours, we're going to hit it up with Tamiya panel line wash. Now I chose black because it's a very dark blue. I'll be honest, you can barely see it. You can barely see it, but it gets rid of those lighter areas because you always end up with a lighter area in the panel lines. It's just the nature of the spraying. So at least this way, it gets uniformity in all the panel lines. So hit it up, just let the capillary action carry it through, leave it to dry for half an hour or however long it takes. The warmer it is, the quicker it dries. Just don't go mad with it, don't get it everywhere, and then come back in when it's dry with a nice piece of new kitchen paper with some odorless mineral spirits. I use Santador from Winsor Newton, and just gently rub over, removing it as you go. Just don't rub too hard because it won't take the paint off, but the kitchen paper will burn through paint if you're not careful on edges. So just really take your time and be thorough. As I always say, if you think you got rid of it all, put it down for 5 minutes, pick it back up, and I bet you'll spot somewhere you've missed. And nothing looks worse than panel liner left on a body, especially when you clear it. And in all the little nooks and crannies, we've got a nice cotton bud pointed one just in there to get rid of any excess wash. And there we go. There's our wash applied. Nice and easy, nice and simple. Now, in all the excitement of the build, I completely forgot to mask and paint the wing mirrors black on their stalks. So this will line up that bit of trim we painted along the side by the window. So we masked these up very quickly, same way we did the windows on the car, and then a couple of coats of Mr. Service of 1500 black, and we are good to go. Job's a good one. Let that all dry, and we're ready for 2K. Nice and simple, nice and easy. So it's the following day. We're going to clean up all our work here. We've got brand new paper in the booth. We did this a few hours before we did any 2King, so any remnants of dust to remove. We sprayed all the booth with some water. And what we're going to do today is slightly different. Number one, we're going to Airbrush. We're going to Iwata Revolution that I'm going to start using for my 2Ks. It's a 0.3mm Iwata Revolution. And we're going to mix 2 lots of 2K clear. So first of all, we're going to do a 4mm mix, which is 4mm of the clear with 1.3mm of hardener and 1.3mm of thinner. To get our first mix of paint, which we'll use for our tack coat and our first wet coat. And then a recommendation by Mike, who watches my videos. Hey Mike, he recommended to mix a fresh final batch of 2K up. So we're going to try that today, see how it goes. So we're still going to ultimately use the same amount of 2K. we're just mixing it in 2 lots. And I always strain it through a 190 micron strainer. I am absolutely sure by gravity you don't need to do it, but I always do. Always have, and I always will. And I've started to strain all my other paints now as well to make sure we get no foreign bodies in there. Again, the anti-static brush on the body, just take your time, don't go too mad with it, and put it out of the way. As you can see, I've very fashionably got cling film on my arm to stop me getting any paint on my arm. And like I say, we've got an Iwata Revolution 0.3 ml CR. And my first time using this. So this is going to take a little bit getting used to, because there's one thing the Iwatas do over the Apex is they do atomize the paint a lot finer. So you'll find it needs a bit more paint to get the same coverage. Now, I've come back a little bit off the model. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking to do, but I think for subsequent 2Ks, I'll be going a little bit closer and slowing down the actual paint passes as well, so we get more paint down quicker. But for a first time go, this didn't turn out too bad. Now I'm going to leave the full 2K session in place. As always, this is the tack coat. This is just a very light coat of clear. We're not trying to get it glossy or anything. We're just going to try and get a nice, even, light coat all over. The idea is we'll leave this to flash off for 10 minutes. It goes ultra sticky. And when we come back in to do our next wet coat, it reduces the risk of runs because the paint is so sticky, the paint grips to it. That's the theory, and that's how it works. I'm going to put some music on, and I'll come back and chat to you all as and when I needed. But I'm going to leave it in real time because a few people have commented that it does help them with their 2K. And there we go. There's the first tack coat done to the body. As you can see, we don't go for a full gloss finish. We're just going for enough to get enough clear coat down. The wing mirrors are done at the same time. This is the second coat now. The body's put in that booth plastic storage container to the left of me that does have vents on to allow it to off gas. Got any dust getting on it. And then we just alternate which way around everything is by the order it goes in there. So the wing mirrors were done last time. So they're done first this time, and it'll be the same on the third coat as well. So nice light coat on the first tack coat. We're coming now for the second coat, which is our first wet coat. We're not going to hose the paint on, but we are going for a much slower, more deliberate clear coat this time. So we're going to slow down the passes with the airbrush and pull back the trigger a little bit more for a little bit more clear coat. So as you can see, we slow it down, a lot more clear coat going down this time. And just going down with even passes, we're trying to cross over each pass as well. And we're trying to get a wettish coat down without flooding it, because what we don't want to get is runs. So again, this will be left for another 10 minutes to flash off and off gas, and then that will go ultra tacky again. and allow our hopefully final coat to go on without any runs. So you can see it's going on a lot wetter than before. So the slower passes, more paint being actually put down really helps with that. But still take your time. Don't put too much down or you'll end up with runs. And there we go, there's our second coat down. Like I say, a lot wetter than the first one. You can really start seeing the depth of the colour coming through now. But we just want a nice, even, semi-gloss coat around everywhere. And again, that's left to one side to flash off for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to mix a fresh batch of 2K. So we're going to go with a 3ml of clear, 1ml of activator, 1ml of thinner, on this one. So fresh batch of 2K, because I guess if you think about it, the 2K is going off the whole time it's sat there, and it can sit there for 20-25 minutes sometime. So recommendation by Mike, I thought I'd give it a go and we'll see what happens. Like I say, 3ml of clear, 1ml of activator, 1ml of thinner. We'll strain it again as we did before and mix it up as we go. Like I say, don't reuse those pipettes, chuck them away. Don't put the activator pipette in with the thinner because you'll ruin your thinner. And yeah, that's it. And again, the last pass now, we're going to go with a wetter coat again, a little bit slower, a bit heavier as well. As usual though, I'm not going to try and get the full wet coat instantly because I don't want any runs, and I'm still getting used to this airbrush. So I'm going to put down a really deliberate coat, but then I'm going to put it back in the container for 5 minutes and let it self-level itself, and then bring it back out and have a look and see how it looks. I need to get used to this airbrush. I think next time I need to get a little bit closer and slow down those passes a bit more, and that will get the clear coat down much better. But it's going down really well. Airbrush is performing really well. Nothing wrong with the apex at all, because I know people are going to criticise me for this, saying, oh, we flip-flop and gone back. I haven't. I've still got them. I'm still going to use them regularly. It's just I fancy using iWater, and it's always been at the back of my mind, will a finer atomizing airbrush make a difference on 2K? And we're going to find out, and I guess it's going to be my opinion over everything, whether it does, but we'll soon see. So like I say, we're going to build up this gloss coat now, getting it as perfect as we can. We don't get a lot of dust and debris in this one today, which is good. We get a few spots on the roof, tiny little spots, tiny few spots on the bonnet. I think we got one larger piece and one on the door. But other than that, we're quite lucky today. We don't get a lot of crap in the paintwork, which is just one of those things you use in 2K. It is some of the stickiest stuff you'll ever use. But like I say, I'm more concerned now by getting a nice even coat down, no runs, and I'm going to put it in the plastic container for 5 minutes, let it self-level itself, and bring it back out and have a look. And obviously we'll do the wing mirrors at the same time. They should be done with one last pass, but you can see we've got a nice depth of shine there on the body, but it is still showing a few signs of orange peel. So like I say, we'll leave that for 5 minutes, let it self-level itself in the container, and pop it back out and have a look. And having a quick look and just see a few areas we need a little bit more. So we're going to go down with a little bit more clear. Not going too mad, not going too heavy. Just putting enough down, because what we get here is how it's going to dry. So we want a glass-like finish. If you don't have it here, it's not going to dry with it. So it's a fine line now between putting too much down and getting a run, and not putting enough down and getting an orange peel. So just take your time here and just work nice and slow. Use the light as your friend here because you can angle everything so you can see properly and look for orange peel. What you want to look like is glass. It should look like glass. And it's just a case of working your way around nice and slow. Make sure you don't touch any fingers underneath, the hand on the carbon underneath. You don't catch the front of the car in that spray booth filter. You don't catch it on the kitchen paper, hit it with the airbrush. All the things I've done in the past, I don't want you to do. So be very aware of where you're swinging this thing around. And just take your time. Now, I'm putting a little bit less paint down now. I'm being a lot more deliberate with this spray because I want to just get it absolutely perfect. And I'm paying attention to the sills, all underneath the diffuser and the front splitter, and those wheel arches as well. And like I say, I'm using the light to angle it. Still got a touch of orange peel here and there, so maybe just a couple of goes over. But this will still self-level a bit as well over time, so I'm not overly concerned. I'm more concerned about getting runs. Not the runs, because they're bad as well, but to get a runner clear is an absolute nightmare. So it is a fine line. That's probably one of the hardest things to do, which is getting that beautiful clear coat while getting the run. So if you find you need a little bit more, add it, like I'm doing here, just adding a final couple of bits, and you can see now I've got a really nice clear coat. No orange peel visible to me now. It looks really good. A little bit on that roof, just needs a little bit more. There you go, Mr. Herb herself, see that? And there we go. That will do me. No runs. We've got good clear coat everywhere. Just make sure all the carbon's done properly, all those recesses and angles. And that's it. I'm happy with that. So, like I say, you can try and get that full last coat in one go. I've had issues before. I'm finding doing it this way now, where I'm doing that last third coat, leaving for 5 minutes, having a look, adding a bit more, leaving another minute or two, adding a bit more if needed, is working well for me. That door there needs a little bit more, and I do it off camera. I just don't show it here. It's working really well for me. I just need to get used to this Iwater airbrush, and I'm going to stick with it for now and see if it makes a difference. And here we are. This is probably, I would say, about 5 minutes later, and it's all self-level, beautiful. Really has. I was just grabbing some pictures and video for Facebook. And yeah, it's beautiful. Nice deep blue. This colour's deceiving though. Like, this camera really darkens all the paints. When I take some stills in a minute, you'll see the beautiful colour I actually see to my eye. So this should be dust dry in an hour or two, i.e. if you take it back out and something lands on it like dust, it'll blow off. Here we are, probably 5 hours later. So clear coat's looking good. We've got no orange peel anywhere. We've got a few specks of dust, nothing that can't be dealt with a bit of sanding, and a very nice, deep, rich blue colour. As you can see, you look outside the window. My window is dirty, that's what you can see, not on the clear coat. We've got a nice, glossy clear coat there as well. But like I say, this camera's deceiving. I'll show you the proper colour now. My iPhone on still pictures, shows the colour properly. And as you can see, it's a much prettier colour. It's not quite as dark as that camera makes out. You can see the metallic in it, which they're a good size on this, to be fair. They are good. And it's a nice kind of petrol-y blue colour, and it does look absolutely fantastic. So very happy how this has turned out. Absolutely lovely colour. Good clear coat as well. Now, obviously, we changed two variables here. We've got a different airbrush and a different technique on the 2K. Now, I definitely think the iWater atomizes the 2K better. I'm going to openly admit that. So I'm going to continue for now using iWater Revolution. Nothing wrong with the Apex. I am going to reiterate that before people start to criticize me. I've used it for 4 years. Had some wonderful paint jobs, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. And I'm not telling people to change what they use. I just fancied a change, and that's what I did. But it's beautiful. Absolutely lovely clear coat. Once we get this flatted and polished, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. And this colour is just absolutely beautiful. It really, really is a beautiful colour. And there we go. So that's where we're at today. Let's go back to me with some final thoughts. Right then, so there we go. That has turned out beautiful. Absolutely stunning colour. Really happy with that one. Beautiful blue. Very, very befitting for an Aston. And I think this is going to look well. Especially with silver rims is what we'll be going for. That nice carbon fibre trim. The black flash of the back C-pillar. It's going to look good, this. I think it's going to look nice. So yeah, looking forward to cracking on with this. Let me know what you think of interior colour, like I asked in the video. I'm thinking cream. I think a nice light cream colour will look good on this. I think it will really suit the colour of that exterior. And I think it's the way to go. So it's probably what I'm going to do. But let me know your thoughts on that. Always interested to hear everyone's opinions and thoughts. Speaking of opinions, if you've got any opinions about me using an iWater again, I don't really care. I don't really care. I've used our Apex for 4 years. I got rid of all my iWaters and used the Apex. And I love the Apex. You cannot fault that airbrush at all. For the money, there's nothing out there that will beat that thing for ease of use, simplicity, maintenance. It's just a brilliant airbrush. But I just fancy the change. I always loved my iWater HPC Plus, which is why I got another one, just out of interest. And it's always been in the back of my mind about, I've always said the iWaters atomize the paint better than most airbrushes, including harder Steenbecks. They do atomize the paint really well. And that's how the paint comes out the airbrush. So you use less paint and it's a finer pattern. I've always wondered, would it make a difference on 2K? And I want to find out. Now, by today's results, it looks like it's a resounding yes. But I have changed two variables. We have changed the way we've done the 2K as well. So I can't completely say. But I'm going to stick with it for now. I've still got my Apexes. They're still going to get used. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm not telling everybody to go out and buy iWaters for all the tongues start wagging and all the stirring starts from people. I just fancied using an iWater again. So it's as simple as that. They are self-funded by me. I've sold a load of kits lately to fun getting one. And it's just personal choice. Not that one's better than the other. I just fancied using it. And I've always rated that HPC Plus as the best airbrush I've ever had. But for the cost of it, you can buy two UMP Apexes. So you got to put your money where it's needed. If you need two airbrushes, you probably better get two Apexes. If you don't, the choice is yours, and that's the thing. So, yes, I'm not flip-flopping. I'm not changing. I'm not giving up. I'm not doing this or that for anybody starts. I just fancy the change again. And I'm blaming Roland. Roland bought one. I got my mind thinking, I really miss my iWater. So I got one, and it's great. It's a really nice airbrush. I'm interested to see in the long-term results of using the Revolution on the 2K. But learning though by using it over a long time. So there we are. So I haven't given up on the Apex at all. I just fancied a bit of a change for a bit. All right. There we go. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them down below. If you want to speak to me more about the Apex and reasons why I haven't bought an iWater, anything like that, you can email me. And as always, if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon me link down below. You get 2-week access to all the videos. And currently now there are 7 videos on Patreon early release that aren't on ISM yet because they're all there ready to go up. And if you wait 2 weeks to go on ISM anyway, but it's a good way of getting early access and supporting and keeping these videos going as regularly as I can. There's a PayPal me and a Buy Me Coffee link down below as well as links to everything related with ISM, myself, UMP, the Off Air Hangout group, the live stream, my Star in the Machine Facebook group for all automotive related stuff, modelling and real life. And like I said, there's an email address to get in touch with me, and there's a link to my scale mates there, and a link to all the products I use in my videos. Big long list of everything I use, from the computer, the cameras, tools, a lot. And there's also an Amazon store of mine as well with loads of items linked in there too. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that video. Like I say, make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notification, give the video a thumbs up, and please leave a comment. Love hearing all the feedback off you all. And yeah, let me know what you think of the colour. Let me know what you think of the interior colour. And there we are. I'll catch you in the next video, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.